Right, hello, welcome to this very first podcast. This is for the Milner Field House History and Discovery podcast. And tonight I've got the founder, Chrissie, with me. Hopefully next time we'll get Alan and Andrew to join us as well. They couldn't be here because of other commitments this evening, but we thought we might as well get on and do something, put it out on audio. So this podcast is going to be available on all the usual channels like iTunes and Spotify, Anchor and Amazon Audible and so on. But we'll put the video cast out on YouTube and Odyssey and Library and BitChute and maybe Instagram if it'll fit on there as well. Right, so without further ado, just like to introduce myself, David, and Chrissie, over to you. If you'd like to tell people as much as you care to to tell them about yourself and how you discovered Milner Field.
I suppose it was well, I've known about the house for years and years, and some of the history, but I never ever got a chance to visit the site. You know, various things, working, busy social life, and yeah, I don't know, I just decided one day, right, we're going. I think it was after I watched a video actually that Alan had done on YouTube, and it just brought it all back to the forefront. And I thought, right, I'm going to go and have a look. Awesome. So we get up there, and it's obviously it's high summer, and you know, the weather was beautiful. It's very scenic. We didn't know where we were going. Must have walked up Carriage Drive and down Carriage Drive 3 times before I recognised a fallen tree.
You weren't looking for a wardrobe, were you?
Yeah, yeah, indeed. No, I'd seen this fallen tree in the video, and it just so happens that was the grand entrance under the Gothic arch. There's a fallen tree where all the water is sort of pooling.
Yeah,
you know where I mean.
The brook.
And yeah, I thought I just took a chance, and obviously with it being high summer, everything was in full bloom. You can't see anything, so so I went wading through, and you know, nearly tripped a few times, but then yeah, I came across this. It's like it's all this brickwork, and obviously it's the remains of the arch, and I was just so oh my god, from the first visit, touching the stone and just looking, and you know, you can still make out some of the dressed stone, and I was just mesmerized. And then obviously, you know, you walk through into the remains of the courtyard, which is now just nature, trees. It's very dark in there, isn't it, in summer? Even when the sun is shining, it's so dark. And we just started wandering around, and you know, once you get your bearings, you know, if I go back, you know, when I go back tomorrow, I know exactly where I am. I could close my eyes and
you're blindfolded.
Yeah, I'd know exactly where I was. But when that first visit, I was like, oh my god, what? I didn't know what end was what end. And obviously, when we finally found the conservatory floor, then you start to piece together where you are. Yeah, and then to cut a long story short, basically, we just decided to start, me and Carl, just to start scratching the surface a little bit. It all kind of started with the conservatory floor. I mean, when the book came out, this wonderful Milner Field book.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I can't remember, I think yeah, we've all got it. You need a copy. Got it, but
Bible.
I wouldn't have, I mean, this has been so helpful.
The Bible.
You know, floor plans, it's just been magnificent. What a book. Yeah, when this book was first published, from what I can see from the photographs, the conservatory floor was practically grass. I mean,
yeah, it was,
you know, it's somewhere in between. Somebody's come in pre us and completely cleared that floor.
Now, yes, I met a chap from Leeds a year or so ago who'd come over from Leeds. He'd come over to sweep it and clear it. And he did it in one day and said,
Wow.
"Oh, I'll come back next year as well. I like to do it, try to do it once a year." And I was like, "What, dude?"
It's fantastic. I mean, it really, that would have been some work as well. I mean, I've swept that floor. That is a massive, it would have been a huge structure.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a space, and to do that is just so anyway, so we decided, we'd take on this little, I don't know what you'd call it, not a challenge, but a mantle of looking after it.
Yeah.
It hadn't been done for a while, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, we started scratching the surface. We followed the boundary lines, of the conservatory, the ones that are, I don't know what you call them, but separated the soil from the actual floor. They're like rounded, aren't they?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Edge stones.
I think the name, like edge boundary edge stones.
Yeah. So we started following those around and realised that there was this big, they curved off. And I was like, why would they curve off into a big pile of soil and dead trees? And turns out, obviously, it was the terrace doorway.
Yeah.
So that was our first foray into, some sort of conservation or maintenance.
Yeah.
We cleared half of it. And we went home and we were half dead because it was literally
hard work, yeah.
Tons of soil, and we had to drag a dead tree out the way that had fallen. So we did half of that, and we thought we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that.
And that was this summer, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was this summer.
I a bit like you, I'd been trying to press gang somebody into coming with me. I'd called two friends and said, if I like treat you afterwards, will you come up and like cut some weeds away? And they're like, oh yeah, I'll help you sometime. And then it was like, no.
Yeah, but no one ever comes.
I gave up and I was like, oh.
I know, and it's really disheartening when you have this dream of,
yeah, I know.
And no one else seems to want to partake. It's, you feel really, but yeah, we moved on from that. We'd done half of that, and me being me, when I get there, I want to be everywhere all at once. I want to do a bit of that, I want to do a bit of that, I want to do a bit of that, and I have to remind myself, stick to one, start on one area, do as much as you can, and then move on to the next. So that's my new mantra, to try and be a bit more like that. But we spent a whole weekend clearing the ivy from the terrace step foundations.
Yes, yeah.
I really needed to know. I needed to know what was left.
I noticed as well, because I go through there at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
It was about July time, or was it?
Yeah, somewhere around that, July, August.
Time. Yeah, but in July time, I'd not had as much spare time to go walking and stuff like that. But I'd seen it. I was like, and you'd seen the little clip of the episode 8 where he's like,
was it a shock? Were you like?
No, it was like the lovely surprise. The first question is, it was like what Goldilocks and the three bears. It's like, who's been digging in my woods?
Yeah. It's quite funny.
Really happy, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's when
it was for me personally, it was a way of getting my bearings with the house, because I knew that the terrace steps were aligned with the ante-room door to the rear of the house, or the front of the house. So when you walk up that middle, and where the middle is now because we can see it, you can walk and that the doorway was there. Yes,
and with everything being built on a valley slope as it goes right down the farm to the river's not that far away.
Yeah,
everything had to be plateaued. So the old house was on the top plateau, and then the kitchen garden's way behind her at the top of the valley. But everything had to be. So as you go down, it's very deceptive, because we're kind of working on the ground floor level now.
Yeah.
But then there's cellar beneath that, which is still above the park and the veranda. So it's you must have taken time to plan it that way. But
I think so. I do believe so, because the land lends itself, as it says in the book, to the kitchen wing being perfectly down. You know, it was the house was raised.
Yeah.
And the land falls away, and the kitchen wing is almost separate from the house, isn't it? It's
that's right. And where it goes down to the boating lake, where I think
it does. It slips away, doesn't it?
It's either Lord Pickbeck or Redbeck. I always get mixed up. As it goes down, it goes down very steep down there.
Yeah.
That's not actually towards the river. That's the other way into the glen, into the woods. So he did well to sort it all out. But like those streams underneath.
Yeah, I know. Well, that just baffles me. It really does. I mean,
well, that's my hypothesis again, as why the place had such bad luck, because you can't build over running water. The old house, the original house, had 2 wells up there. You know, we talked about.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have had the water running underneath the old house.
Yeah.
So yeah, if thinking of that would be
geopathic stress.
I always said that was his biggest mistake, was not building it on the site of the old house.
Yeah.
That's my
so. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think he probably could have done. You know, and it was more elevated as well than but he didn't, did he? He decided to build it there, and look what happened. Yeah, it's unfortunate, really. I mean, that might have contributed to the dampness in the house, possibly, as well. I mean,
most definitely, yeah. Not quite. Yeah. Definitely, yeah. Because obviously, when you got a culvert running underneath, would have been underneath the cellar of the house.
Yeah.
Damp can rise up, and if it's ever like really extraordinarily heavy rains, it could also flood the cellars.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You get one little gap in a culvert, that water pressure ride it up into the cellars of the house.
Yeah.
So it could have been not just for geopathic stress, but for on like a practical level. So have a look at the practical side of things. It might have driven damp up into the cellars and then continued up through the house. So
well, this is things that we don't know, do we? We don't know, you know, what kind of you know, it's almost like, oh, everything was great until, but was it great? You know, there may have been serious issues. We just don't know. It's
well, it was only over the course of 60 years as well that the house was occupied. So I guess
I know for a building built like that as well, and built so well.
Solid, isn't it? Absolutely solid. And this is one thing people realize when they go and look at, you know, kind of what's been dug out, is how solid, how amazing the masonry, the work, and the
I mean, what is it? Just shy of 150 years old this year.
Yeah,
and it was completed, or maybe started being built, but I mean, it still lives. It's
absolutely.
You know?
And it doesn't seem to be, like we said the other side, there doesn't seem to be a lot of mortar between those stones, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's almost as if it were placed.
How do you put it together?
Maybe that was just a dress stone, though, huh? Maybe the you know, what's behind, perhaps.
Yeah, but still.
I don't know. I haven't really paid that much attention to that, actually. I think I'll probably have a look at that tomorrow while we're there, and just you know, like I say, take more of the look at how they actually you know, built the place.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to know what type of mortar and whatever they used as well. You know, anyone out there's got any insight into that?
I know. Well, it wasn't. You know, it wasn't, from what I've read. What was the chap's name that built the house again?
Harris. Thomas Harris?
Thomas Harris, that's it. I keep thinking of Robert Marnock, but he was a landscaper. He used a lot of iron, didn't he, in the building, in his building methods. That's why we keep finding so much metal.
Yeah, he used iron. Yeah, he's literally, because Thomas Harris, and his initials, I think I've seen his initials on the stones. And at that time, because there was that whole Gothic revival, they just built the Houses of Parliament, which is entirely entirely Gothic set of structures. So that was the theme of the day. And the two architects, Pugin and Ruskin, those were like the poster boy architects of the day. Yeah,
well, I mean, you know, that's how it was.
Yeah, and well, thank the Lord for that, because it was such a beautiful building, and obviously he didn't spare any expense, as we know.
We can tell.
No, so all right, so you'd started to uncover some parts of the building in summertime.
Yeah, we'd
steps, didn't you?
We'd uncovered the steps, and then we'd moved, the terrace steps. We'd uncovered the terrace steps. I think we went, I can't really remember. I think we started on the orangery doorway to the house.
Yes, I noticed that had been done first.
Yeah, we'd started, and we hadn't abandoned our mission, but obviously some of those
you needed reinforcements.
Very big. There's no way we would have moved those on our own. So we kind of got stuck. So we were like, okay, well, work in progress. We'll come back to this. And I believe we just cracked on with the terrace doorway from the glass house.
Yeah.
Started clearing that again, and finally got that cleared, which was, that was a happy day, because, we found a lot of glass.
Yeah, I think that's roughly about when I joined you, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere around about that time. Yeah, and we started pulling back the ivy, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
Rolling it back like a carpet, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Devilweed. I used to love ivy.
Not anymore.
I can't stand it. It's horrible. It's burning. Yeah, that ivy is something else. It really is. But when we found the rose bushes hidden underneath that clearly are original. I mean, there's photos of them.
That was a special moment for me. I was like,
it really was. I mean,
always loved the garden.
Strangled for how many decades?
Oh my word, for best part of 100 years.
They've not been given a chance. Yeah.
Well,
what's interesting? Sorry. What's interesting is that ivy has been growing on that wall of the terrace wall since the house was occupied.
Yeah.
So obviously, with no one there to maintain, it's just taken over.
It's literally like War of the Worlds, where the vine takes over the whole. Yeah. It's literally 100%. Like that.
Yeah, and it's like steel rope trying to pull.
Oh, and you ask any gardener, it's horrible blooming stuff.
Yeah,
and it gets in the brick, but it gets between. It takes out pointing. It
causes. Well, I mean, I've noticed that actually. Of obviously when
the spiders.
Yeah. Oh. Oh no, honestly, that's, oh my God. I mean, I haven't really come across to say, we've done a lot of gardening there, haven't we? And I've not really seen that many spiders in the ivy or anywhere else in the gardens. It's in the house.
They're all in one
cellars. No, you will not get me down in that hole. No chance. And I was really up for it a couple of weeks ago, but no.
Well, it must be a certain type of ivy that these spiders don't like.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I have seen dubious looking holes in the soil, I have to say.
Yeah, well, you're not. Well,
have you seen some of those?
Yeah, I mean, there's such a when I have to give a shout out to Grace Newton from the Yorkshire Post as well. A wonderful article today, which is it talked about what we're doing as well and the history of the place. And I had a chat with Grace on Wednesday, and I was telling her about the variants of all the different wildlife there.
Yeah, there is.
She'd asked why the failed takeover of the site and the people that they couldn't do anything with the land.
Yeah.
Not just the pear trees and the apple trees, about 7 or 8 varieties are all protected, but you've got a couple of, at least 2 or 3 different breeds of owls. You've got woodpeckers, I think cormorants there, jays, which are quite rare, and all different stuff. But it's just a nature reserve, isn't it? And
it is. There's more life there now than there was when the house was occupied.
It's really bizarre. It's like, well, it's not bizarre, but it's beautiful. But even when you go in winter, there's still birds there. There's still you still get bird song at night, which is weird.
Yeah.
You think they've all have
migrated, or
but you don't. You get, and sometimes in the summer you get nothing. So, So spiders and and whatnot. Spiders are kind of the order of the day at Milner Field, I think.
Well, I must admit, we turned over. We dug out one of those large carved stone blocks that must have come from above the doorway of the orangery into the house. It just fallen down clearly, because it was perfectly white, wasn't it? It's because it's just been covered. But when we turned it over, there were egg sacs and spiders, so we kind of just left them.
Yeah.
But, right, we'll just move on now.
You did the preservation.
Well, we're not going to harm them. They've not done anything to us, but but hopefully they'll have just moved further down. But it's like when we moved that giant lintel out the doorway.
Yeah,
when we're digging
that's right.
Titus's gentleman's entrance, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were spiders there. So, you know, you let them go on the merry way and carry on, you know, in a different area.
And that's crucially important, I think, as well, is that
Yeah.
everything we're doing is like, you know, trying not to disturb or uncover anything that can't, you know, kind of relocate itself, or trees, the insects, the wildlife as well. Just be as respectful as possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fine line, isn't it? It's like a tightrope walk in a way, because in one aspect you've got this spell's being cast over you. I don't think it happens to everyone. I think some people can quite happily ramble through and not really care. And then I think there are people like us, and there's many more people out there like us who probably just haven't found us yet. That once they visit, you just
you get bitten, but not by spiders.
No. No, you do. You get bitten, and it's you know, it's almost like a spell's been cast over you. The house is crying out for help. It sounds ludicrous, but you know, to me, not at all. It's you know, it wants to live again in a way. I
always saw it as like a strange kind of compromise between, obviously nature was there before, and the old house was there from the early Elizabethan times, so hundreds of years. What I always saw is that all the ghost stories and all the stories that have come, you know, from locals in the book down the decades, there's always this kind of mid between where nature had it and you know, natural energy had it, and then mankind took over in the house and everything else. And now it's gone back to kind of nature. It seems like I know whatever happened there in the past, it's now a more peaceful place.
100%.
Although sometimes when you go, it's just like perfectly dead and still, and there's nothing, no sound at all. Some days I go up there and it's like, oh, it's going to be one of those days, is it? And it's like, other times it's just like,
Andrew mentioned that last week, actually. He said he visited and one day, and he had that feeling as well. I've never felt that, not yet.
No, well, it is, and like, you know, sometimes I would go, you know, every other day, or I'd walk every other day, and some days you go and sit and it'd just be like, there's not a bird sound, anything, wind, really, really still, and kind of like, it was like a kind of like, not a calm energy, but just like a bit forsaken. That's the best way I can describe it, is like, on certain days.
Well, I understand that. That's how I felt my first few visits to the site. It was I was overcome with feelings, you know, like I'm sure a lot of other people do. It's loss and despair and just deep sadness of what, you know, what's strewn around, and just it was just such an overwhelming feeling of just melancholy. It really was. I was just like,
decay as well, like the decay.
What? You know, you look at these carved pieces of stone and you're like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then you look at the rubble and then the mounds, and you just think, why? I mean, why? But you know, I don't feel that anymore walking along there now. I feel hopeful. I feel quite happy. I feel like I'm being gently pushed along by something.
Well, maybe, you know, kind of the spirit of the house is just there, pushing you along and going, I mean,
you know, I've never really been one to delve into all that. I've always been a bit of a skeptic, you know, a bit more of a scientific kind of persona. But I have to say, since spending so much time on the site, I have definitely, you know, I felt things. I wouldn't say I've seen things. I've caught glimpses of things, and I thought, what was that? And there's nothing, and I'm okay, fine. And then I have had feelings of being touched on the back of my neck. I mean, we're going into a completely different thing here now, but while I was in the orangery and I was tidying up, I was trying to remove the rubble, something kept touching the back, and my hair's not down, my hair is up when I'm there.
Well, what's that?
And I thought, oh, is it leaves? And no, it wasn't leaves, it was summer. But you know, I've got work to do. I'll just get on with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as if I haven't had strange feelings and emotions while I've been there. I have, definitely. But
Yeah, no, yeah, you're not alone with that. I mean, obviously, I'm probably a bit more kind of used to that type of thing and open to it. Although I do remain skeptical and like to have, you know, kind of basis in science. But
yes,
I think the Earth on certain places can record the emotions and the activities that went on, and
oh yeah,
that's what genuinely.
oh yeah, definitely. They're kind of like overlays.
Yeah,
It's
like a tape recorder or something, like a natural tape recorder. Yeah, and of course, being built on a such a ley line as well.
Yeah.
By a valley, but we're also with all that. Salt must have known. Salt Jr. must have known what he was getting into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wasn't an uneducated man, either academically or in terms of kind of like he had a bit lively. He was a spiritual kind of guy. He was a reader. He's and alchemical symbols throughout the house. He was part of maybe some societies we're not aware of. So he might have, you know, I don't know. He must.
Who knows? But from the symbols you found, it's definitely, you know, it's not a one-off. They're everywhere.
No, there's plenty more, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look at all the ones that we've probably yet to discover. Yeah.
Right. So okay, so yeah, we know that you kind of got things cracking. You and Carl, bless him, and you know Andrew and Alan and myself have joined in since, and we're hoping to, you know,
and Alan.
Yeah, we're hoping to kind of, you know, find a lot more, aren't we? So
yeah.
I think
yes, the work continues, and it's hard work.
It's hard work, yeah. I think the only thing that could stop is like if you're digging down tomorrow and you discover like a badger set or something, or a rabbit.
Oh no,
I know. I don't
think that's possible. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, we just have to move on to another area.
I know where the rabbits and badgers are around there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right below where the kitchen roundhouse was, there's a gate onto the farmlands. And the rabbits are just in those bushes there. They've got so they're luckily out of the way, and badgers are further down.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's all good then. It's all good.
It's all good, yeah. So we've got also, I think we've been lucky in the last week or so. There was an article about the author Francis Brodie.
Yes, A Mansion for Murder.
Mansion for Murder, which you know is out now. It's a like Kate Shackleton mystery. I know people are into the mystery novels, so I'm going to be reading that one. Hopefully.
Yes, me too.
And you know that we've got a mention in there, and then the article today.
Yeah.
Things are kind of moving in a good direction there.
Well, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we are sympathetic in what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not as if we're just hoying around stones with, you know, abandon. We're just, it's, we're looking after what's there, basically. I mean, if anyone was to actually just, other than ourselves, to get a shovel and start digging, they'd realise that there's not a lot left. There's nothing. I mean, the house sat as a ruin for decades before it was torn down finally.
It was plundered.
There's no, like you said, there's no treasure. There's nothing, you know, most of the house is shattered into 1,000 pieces. You know, thankfully, some of those stones have survived, and that's because of the sheer size and volume of them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the only reason why A, they haven't been stolen, and B, they haven't been destroyed. It's just, you know, everything else is just slowly turned to dust.
Yeah.
It's all the sandstone, you know.
It's crumbled. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, what's wrong with uncovering something that's been buried that's still there? It's, you know,
nothing. No, it's you know, for us it's the right thing to do as well, and you know,
it's the right thing to do. Absolutely, it is the right thing to do.
Until I mean, you know, you can't do that, you know, well, you know, fair enough.
It was a bike ramp, basically, you know. It was a bike ramp. And I don't want to take away anything from the children, you know, it's their area, they like to play in there. It's fair enough. But, you know, it's much more than a bike ramp. It's, it's the remains of a grand house,
Well,
you know, from the Salt era.
it'll outlast us all. So there you go.
Yeah.
I was only looking at the pictures from like years ago of everything covered in ivy, and even a couple of years back now as well. And it's
it was really covered as well. Just
massively carpeted. You
just can't tell. You can't tell what's what. I mean, look at the side of the ante room.
Yeah.
That's still covered. I mean, you know, God, what's under there? And what foundations remain, and you know, it's tantalizing, and it's an itch that just you can't not scratch it. It has to be, you know, and everyone that's come along is just like, wow, you know, and everyone's been so positive and so kind, and but we would appreciate some more volunteers to come and
that's right. Let's be like a shout out to anybody.
There would be 1 second, David, while I just pause the washing machine.
Yeah, a shout out to anybody who lives locally or around Bingley area, or if you want to come from further afield. If you have your own gardening gloves and a spade, that'd be excellent. Any kind of tools, secateurs, kind of like gardening knives or anything like that, then yeah, please come and join in.
And do as much or as little as you want.
Do some weeds. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, anything. Even if you move one little tiny stone, it's one stone that we don't have to move. It's
you don't have to be there like a set, you know, kind of get time away on the whole thing. We normally weekends, like Saturdays or Sundays, and maybe not so much through the winter. It might be a bit more difficult, but bit more, you know, not quite as possible. But yeah, definitely. Any way you can get in touch. We're on Twitter, obviously. I think it's hashtag is @MilnerFieldHD. Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is obviously Milner Field House History and Discovery Podcast. On Facebook, Milner Field History and Discovery, and also the Milner Field page on Facebook. Any of those you can message us, or through YouTube or wherever. You know, so it's like you just search on the internet Milner Field House podcast, and it'll come up. And you can most platforms allow you to message in as well. So if you do come along and get involved, or just see what we're doing, then you know everyone's welcome.
100%.
Good stuff. So we've got also bearing in mind what the books revealed to us as well. It did have a very brief kind of online conversation with Stella Downs, who's on the Milner Field farm. And she said she might have some good news for us in terms of you know, people that could tell stories from the past of Milner Field, particularly around the farm and the area maybe. So that might be good, and also try
of course
get a day where we can either go and visit the Downses themselves and make an episode about the farm, still working farm as well, still
beautiful farm. I mean, what a service they provide. It's just
amazing, and I mean, you can go to Primrose Lane in Gilstead, and you can get your fresh milk daily.
I mean, how wonderful is that?
Don't forget that, and the butter and everything else what they sell.
And probably a bit cheaper now than a supermarket.
But I mean, like the quality will be just superbly better than your supermarket stuff. But yeah, don't forget if you're around that area, call in and get some of that as well. Okay, and then we've also got, I think one thing from mentioned in the article, mentioned in the book as well, which is about, I'm at the page now, which was about all the families that lived at Milner Field as well.
Yes, I read. Yes.
Which kind of goes into, we don't know as much about like the Hollins or the Gateses. We knew about James Roberts and his family scandal.
Yeah, I know.
And well, in those days it was a scandal. It wasn't him. It was his in-law.
Yeah.
The incident with the gun and whatnot. But
yeah.
in those days, it would have like brought shame on the whole family. So, and obviously,
Yeah, yes, of course. Yes, of course. But I mean, things were very different back then, obviously. It's
yeah, and he was an MP as well. So I guess it's
yeah. And it was it Roberts that lost his sons as well, or am I getting confused?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. Well, it already been lost in the war, and
Yeah.
another one went as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seemed pretty tragic.
Yes, it was tragic, but I mean, what can you say? It's you see, again, this comes back to my skepticism of curses, and
Yeah.
you know, it's I don't know if I believe in all that. I really don't. I mean,
No, well, what I've gleaned from reading and rereading that was that most of the people that passed while they were there were sick or unwell before they moved.
oh yes, definitely. I think it was
They're just saying the house finished them off, but
yeah.
who knows?
I can't remember. Was it Gates, Ernest Gates, his wife? She was wheelchair bound, wasn't she?
She was already sick before she got.
Yeah, she was. She was. So you know, I mean, there wasn't healthcare back then. I mean, and medicine as well. Everything was in its infancy, as far as I'm aware. So it's.
Yeah, it was before allopathic medicine, modern.
Yeah,
medicine.
definitely. So it's
Damp as well. Yeah.
the times. Well, that was that. Yeah, was that Hollins's wife who?
Yeah,
died?
be into the 20th century then.
Yeah, she died from complications from pneumonia, was it?
Yeah, of course.
By dampness in the house, apparently. So, I mean, it's
before kind of modern antibiotics and things as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I think life expectancy back then anyway was shorter than it is today, obviously. So,
exactly, yeah.
You know, and also, you know, from the chimneys, and even though it was countryside, technically, it's still, you know, contributing factors, but everyone smoked back then as well. So
yes, and obviously in Salt's time, as I was saying to Carl the other day, they would have used generally, you know, a lot of medicine for the family in the house of Victorians was opioids.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
things like laudanum and you know, morphine and other stuff as well. Yeah, they would have used, especially the better off families like the Salts. They would have used them as day-to-day remedies. Which is,
well, I think it came out unscathed, considering the state that the electrics probably would have been for the day compared to today's safety standards. I mean,
oh no, it'd probably be but very different back then.
Yeah, you could get electrocuted turning on a light switch. I mean, it's just. But yeah, it's, you know, all these different families. I mean, the one thing that they do all have in common is they all have some bad luck.
They did, yeah. Yeah, they did.
You know, if that's a curse on a house, or I mean, maybe, you know, I've had my fair share of bad luck. Maybe I'm cursed, you know. But I mean,
well, it's a superstitious thing. I think the thing of a curse is because it seems like kind of like an existential way to blame something on, you know, oh, there's a curse on the place or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't really rationalize it as a curse, because a curse would be something that somebody did or put a juju or something on a place.
Yeah.
Unless Salt had any major enemies.
Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, well, it's possible.
That's another can of worms, because if he was into like runes and alchemy and magic and so on, and if he was anything to do with the Hellfire Club or any other societies like that, you really don't know, do you?
No, you don't know. That's a good point, actually. I mean, you know, that's just inviting bad luck, isn't it, really?
But that leads back to the old house on the top of the plateau. I mean, there's tales and things about that, and only Salt wrote the book about what had gone on there. Obviously, Milner family, the Oldfields, and the others that owned it, down the centuries, and there was talk of obviously other things, and there's like little tidbits of stuff about witchcraft and stuff down the centuries, and you don't know, and you don't know.
No, you don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to find out if that was at all possible.
Well, I believe the Salt family still have that book in the library. Hopefully they've still got it, and you know, if any of you are listening, the Salts,
yes, information is king. I mean,
I'd absolutely love to, you know, kind of have discreet chat with one of you, or if you know?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think it was Stella actually posted a photo of, I think it was Titus Salt.
Yeah.
He visited the farm a few years back, and he brought some interesting artifacts back with him. And it was, I actually noticed a ceremonial mallet that was made of ivory.
Ivory one, yeah.
And also the ivory bell pushes that were installed in the house that he'd made himself at Titus Jr.
Yeah.
So they've still got all this. I mean, you wouldn't get rid of such treasure. You really wouldn't, because that is treasure. So yeah, I think they will still have the book in their possession, and yeah, it would be fabulous to be able to you know, find out some more information. That's like I say, information's king. It's, you know, tidbits to anyone else, to us it could be a whole nother story.
Well, that's a shout out now. I mean, that's
yeah.
That's like you find out stuff, you put a shout out, and you know, we're trying to get there. I understand that most of the Salt family now lives in London, or around London.
Yeah,
that's as much as I know, and I know they have commented on previous posts on Facebook or on some of the videos. So yeah, please, you know, just discreetly get in touch, and if you want to do if
it was my ancestors' house, I'd be up there. I'd have to go and have a look. I really would. You know, it's there's a lot to see. So it's not as if it's just a pile of rubble. It's the house is still there in places. You know,
it's still alive and kicking.
Well, it is. I mean, I'm thinking of all the areas that you know, we were looking at. You know, his giant mounds. You know, there are walls under there.
Yeah, there's tons of rubble
and interior rooms. You know, there is
stuff there. Yeah. Through my head for months.
It's like, woo.
Then it's like, yeah, how do you get into all that though?
Yeah, how do you? Hard work and time, I suppose, is the answer, and more people, hopefully. You know,
more people as well. Oh, definitely. Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, tomorrow we're going to get back into that big pile of roots, and dead roots and rubble and sand and stuff as well.
Yeah.
To get some of that out, you know, carefully, little bit by little bit.
Yes.
But is there anywhere else what's the kind of next spot you've got your eye on, Chrissie?
No.
I might ask.
Now you've asked that question.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's quite a few. I suppose really the logical area would be where we've been digging. I mean, we need to gently shift that lintel and reveal the steps in their entirety, because they're intact. And you know, it'd be wonderful to be able to see them as they once looked, because they are pristine. But I suppose to move down where the staircase windows would have been and see what remains of the you know, the outline of that side of the building. It'd be nice just to trace down. I mean, I know it's completely gone where the porch is, because it's flat. There's nothing there. That's all gone. But as you walk back up on yourself towards those steps, there are some serious mounds. So I think that's an area of concentration. But I'm still really enamored with the bay window. I know there's only the foundations left. I
know, is that
the bay window?
But on top of it though.
But I think beyond the bay window, I think the outer wall of the I can never remember the name of that room. What was it?
Oh, well, the front left was the drawing room, and then
room. That's it. So I don't know why my brain blocks out that. I believe the outer wall of the drawing room where it met to the bay, I believe that still stands.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, that's under the ivy.
And pretty much all that straight run up to the ante room. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to find one of the edges of the ante room doorway? I mean,
yes, definitely. Oh yeah, I mean that's that mound is like,
I know,
40 or 50 tons of rock, stone, rubble, whatever.
But it's exciting. I really don't know. I know there are great things to find under there, the house. You know, I know it's all still there. It's just buried.
Yeah, it's definitely. you know, I think you could go on forever and still not find all the secrets and mysteries of the place.
No, exactly. It's never-ending passion, isn't it? Really, it's a little bit more reachable than a Titanic. That's never going to happen. So,
I had some interesting theories about the Titanic recently as well, because they built two ships at the same time. I can't remember the name of the second.
Olympic. No, it's all myth. They found the name now. The anchors are still there. They on the bow.
Right.
They've actually found the name of Titanic on the anchors. I mean, that's
well, that's going to be worth a fortune, isn't it, if they dig that out?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, seeing as you know, that's another big passion of mine is Titanic. But that's another podcast. It's
podcast, that'd be good.
This one's a little bit more achievable. Is the ruins of the mansion. It's
much more local as well.
It is, and also there's a lot. Like I say, there's a lot more there. There's a lot more to find. It's not about glory or riches or
no.
It's about a house and what happened to the house and what's left of the house.
Yeah.
As it turns out, there's a lot more than what we first thought. It's
yeah, of course, yeah, and yeah, it's important to point out to people as well that we're doing this for the love of the place and the area.
Absolutely, it's a passion. It's
none of the podcast, nothing is commercialized or
nope.
monetized, nothing, and you won't find that either. It's just because 4 or 5 individuals as well, where we all feel the same way about something.
Yeah,
I think in this day and era as well, that's got to stand for something, and I think people recognize that as genuine passion rather than somebody coming along trying to make a quick buck out of selling something, take it something or whatever they want to do. No, it's not.
Yeah. If you ever see me carrying a spade and standing there with the spade, then just tell me to do one. It's this brand of spade is best.
No,
it's none of that. It's just it's like I say, I've had a spell cast on myself, and it's not going anywhere. It's getting stronger. It's like a heartbeat. In fact, it's I can feel it, and also when I leave the place, when we're done for the day and I leave, I feel so sad. I don't want to leave.
Oh, it is, and that when you left last Saturday and that went took photos, the light was perfect. So it was like, really great photos. The sun, like you're saying, we get to autumn, there's still that the canopy of trees is still a leaf, but there wasn't a lot of sun coming in, so I managed to get some really beautiful photos. And it was like, when you leave, it's always like, all right, well, I gotta go, but
we'll be back.
Yeah, you'll be back. So hopefully it's sunny tomorrow as well. So across it's like a good forecast.
Yes, it is.
2 days.
Yes, it is dry.
2 days of fairly consistent rain here as well.
No, we've had it as well. I mean, it's perfect in summer there, isn't it? When it rains, because you just don't get wet.
No,
you can hear it, you can smell it, and it's just perfect. It's like being on your own veranda. You just
sheltered from everything,
impervious to the rain. It's fabulous, but not this time of year, obviously. And I will be bringing my broom tomorrow, see if we can sweep some of those leaves.
There's still a lot more to fall, but it's good to keep it clear and clean as well, so people can see. Because I've had a lot of people locally that have said that they walk through there every day or every other day, or they walk the dogs up there and they're like, you've noticed something going on. And well, it's
in the woods.
It's just, at least we're not sat around, kind of just tossing it off, doing something that we don't need to do. It's just.
But not only that, we not only have we been doing this, but we've picked up litter and discarded rubbish and pieces of the house that have been slung here, there, and everywhere, and. It's about taking care of the place. It's not just about digging on what we can find. It's a whole spectrum of caring, really. That's
absolutely. It's 2 years since I moved back here to Shipley, and every week, for some weeks, not so bad in winter stuff, but summer. I'd always like to take a black bag for rubbish up there. Kids have made a fire. They made like a fire in some area, but you'd be like. stuff like pop cans and like monster.
I know, honestly.
The little plastic bags that kept the stuff in, and gas cans and stuff, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's not cool. It's not cool. But I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember being like that when I was younger.
No, well, it's just, I'd do it anyway because you knew there was going to be stuff, and it's not often people tip up there, but you do get a bit of rubbish and whatnot, and it's like, all right, fair enough. If somebody cleans it up, at least I know that somebody cares about the place, and
Exactly.
you just go and pop it in a local litter or whatever, and do it that way.
Yeah.
So the areas that we covered, I was asked on Wednesday, Grace asked me about like other structures, other buildings and things as well. And apart from the lodge houses and the 2 farms and the walled gardens, I don't think, to my mind, that there's anything else left.
Well, I mean, there's the foundations of the stables
stables as well. Sorry, But
did you mention that too? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. But apart from that, I don't think there were any other significant buildings.
No, though I don't think there was any anyway, was there?
There's nothing on the maps or the plans.
No. And I mean, it'd be difficult to find foundations if there were anyway now in that undergrowth. But I don't think there was. I don't think there was anything else. I mean, it had enough anyway, didn't it?
There's only that one area of stones, just at the top left middle of the plateau, near one of the wells, where there are like big blocks of Yorkshire stone around.
Yes.
I don't know if that was. Apart from that, the only other area is going up. If you go past Sparrow Lane up the beck, it's supposed to be a quarry and a plantation up there.
Yes, apparently there is. Yeah,
they've built houses around there as well. So you're gonna have to have a look up there at some point and just see what's left, or if there's anything left, or who knows.
Yeah. It's just been pillaged over the years, hasn't it? Anything useful's been taken.
I guess so. Absolutely. Right. Well, we just passed the hour mark as well here, so I think maybe it might be a good point to start to wrap things up. Is there anything else you want to add, Chrissie, in terms of what's coming next, or what you want to?
Well, I mean, we're back tomorrow, so we'll be on with what I just mentioned, the steps, and future. Who knows? I mean, it's like you said, it's almost never ending. There's every time I go there, I find a new surprise. It's there's so many different places that I want to do, and I can't do them all at once. So watch this space. It's
awesome. So thank you. Thank you for being with me today, and hopefully next time,
yes, we'll have the other 2.
Alan, he's got love Alan's insight to things, and his love of spiders particularly. Obviously Andrew as well. So hopefully we'll get all 4 of us up next time, and and then we can just and then we'll get that quiz out as well.
Fabulous. That'd be great.
The most archaic questions you can find. All right. So once again, thank you for joining me. And for anybody who's listening to this, obviously on the podcast, please subscribe to wherever you are, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Audible. Give us a follow if you can. Find us on Facebook. 2 pages, which is Milner Field House History and Discovery, and the main Milner Field page. Twitter is Milner Field HD. You can follow us there on that handle and see like photos daily and weekly of what's going on before anything else. Future videocasts, which are going to be ongoing whilst we're uncovering stuff, will be on YouTube. Again, the Milner Field House History and Discovery channel, and on BitChute, Library, Odyssey, and maybe other places as well, I don't know. And we're on Instagram too, as under the same name. So just get in touch if you want to do any questions, anything at all. Chrissie, myself, Andrew, Alan, we're all going to be here, and hopefully as things go on further, we might do some Twitter spaces, like an open chat. That's where you can just log into Twitter and join in a big conversation chat as well, for maybe a half an hour or so as well. That's it.
Brilliant. Perfect.
That's probably all you need to know. And so all right for now.
Okay.
both of us. Thank you, and we will see you.
Pleasure.
We'll see you. Thank you. Pleasure too. We'll see you in this episode very soon. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.